Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. That feels weird. Probably always will. I know I said I would do a video on, like, situation, but, really there's not a lot to talk about, other than the fact that I'm on antidepressants, and they're working so well. Like, I should, in theory, be, like, kinda depressed, because I'm in pain, and yeah, but they are, like, people I've known for years are even going, I haven't seen you this happy. So, thank God for antidepressants. For me, personally. I mean, sometimes they don't work for some people, but for me, they're working great. And it makes me very, very happy. Yesterday I got to cuddle a baby. It was so fun. I have a friend who's on Pool League, and one of his teammates has a 4-month-old, and they are always like, yeah, you can hold him. I'm like, sweet. And I got to joke with his mom, because we're talking, and she's like, you staying out of trouble? And I went, trying to. And she goes, well, yeah, you're such a troublemaker. And we were bullshitting around. It was just for fun. And she's like, no, I get good vibes from you. I'm like, well, I would hope so. I mean, when your son was 3 weeks old, you were letting me hold him. So, like, yeah. I would hope you think that I'm an okay person. But anyway, so, yeah, got to cuddle a baby. That was fun. But this video, I wanted to kind of continue to go, like, into my past and, talk about life before homelessness. Now, when I started making these videos, I worked at a radio station. I am no longer involved with them, and that's some other bullshit that I'll talk about one day. But, yeah, so, yeah, I used to work at the radio station, and, but for the most part, most of my life, I've worked customer service, because I'm weird, and I like customer service, and it's fun. It's, like, I like being, like, I've been a waitress, I've worked fast food, I've worked retail, I've worked a lot of different jobs, and, it's a lot of fun. Like, for me, I'm the kind of person where even if I'm having a bad day, like, I will try to make somebody else's day good. Like, especially with customers, because it's like, unless you're personally trying to make my day bad, I don't give a damn. Like, I'm not going to take my bad attitude out on you. And there are there are 3 stories that I want to talk about. The first one, I was working fast food. The other 2 are waitressing stories, but the first one was I was working fast food, and it was like my 2nd week in. I was still very new, and where I worked, there were surveys on the back of the receipt that you would go online, fill it out. It lets the store know how they're doing, and enter them for a chance to win a gift card. And the manager of the store, or wait, okay, no, I have 4 stories. But anyway, so the manager of the store that I worked at during our lunch rush goes, hey, can you push surveys? Like, yeah, not a problem. So, I'm pushing surveys as best as I can, because, lunch rush, you want to get people out of drive-through as quickly as humanly possible. And, I get to my last car, and it's this really nice blonde woman, and that's important. And she, I'm like, you're my last car, so I'm, like, thinking to myself, I'll take a minute to actually, like, explain what the survey is. So I take a minute, and I charge her, then I hand her a receipt, and I explain everything. Like, I'm like, you go on this website, this is my name, I would, this is how it works, it enters you for a chance to win, and it lets us know how we're doing, and we really like that. So, if you could go online and do that. And she was like, yeah, absolutely. And, got her food, alright, done, whatever. I had run out of cups during lunch rush, because of course I did. And, so, I run into the back to go grab, more cups. And I come back out into the kitchen, and there's that blonde woman from drive-thru standing in the kitchen. Like, what the hell is going on? Like, why is she here? And she's talking to my manager, who is also a friend of mine. But, like, hey, what's going on here? She goes, oh, this is our district manager. I'm like, oh my god, I just pushed a survey on our district manager, and I had no idea who she was. And so I, like, immediately am like, oh. And my manager looks at me and goes, what did you do? And the district manager told her what happened, and I'm like, oh god. But she came up to me once, because it was like a surprise visit, because there's going to be an audit on the store, and she wanted to see what, how we would do. And she came up to me after the audit, because that was just like a practice one, and goes, look, I've been having a really bad day, and I'm really grateful that, you actually took the time to talk to me about this. Like, your attitude made it kind of worth it. And I'm like, oh, sweet, thank you. And the second story, it's with the same the same fast food place. My manager, like, we ended up getting a new store manager who really liked my attitude. So I got promoted to a trainer, and they scheduled me, like, we knew that there was going to be another audit. We knew what day it was going to happen. We knew roughly what time. So I got scheduled for the audit. And the manager, like, a couple days before, a friend of mine had passed away, and I had called in because I was like, I can't come into work. The next day, like, the day before the audit. And he was trying to get me to come in, and I finally kind of became a little bit of a bitch and was like, look, either A, I'm not coming in tomorrow, or B, I'm not coming in the day of the audit. Your choice. So he gave me the next day off, so I still had to work the audit. But, the guy comes through for that, and then comes in and is, like, checking everything, and comes up to me and asks me several questions, and, I do my best on it, and we get, we get the score, and out of 100, we got 99. I had missed one question. So, everyone, like, and I'm the reason we got 99. Like, we would have gotten, like, 97 otherwise. So, I got us 99 out of 100. And, where I worked, there were these cards where I would say, great job, like, we would put them up. It was kind of a motivational thing. And the guy that did the audit asked for one of those cards and gave it to me. And wrote on there, like, Addie, you're wonderful at customer service. You did a great job. And I'm like, oh, this is awesome. And so that made my day. And the auditor, he left, and I looked at the store manager and went, I'm taking a damn break. I don't give a shit. And he goes, yeah, you get a break after that. Like, I got away with murder that day. But the two stories I want to also talk about from waitressing, the first one is like my absolute favorite story. I, was working at a restaurant, and I wasn't even supposed to be a waitress that day. I was just supposed to be a hostess, and we needed an extra waitress, so I'm like, yeah, I'll do it, whatever, who cares. And then we get a phone call saying, hey, a wedding party's coming in. Like, oh crap, okay. And it was 30 people. What they didn't mention on the phone was that about 25 of them are deaf. And I know very little sign language, and I ended up taking the wedding party, like, along with the bartender. But it was pretty much just me being a waitress. So it was just me and the bartender, and we're both, like, I know a little bit of sign language, but not enough to be fluent. So for everybody who could hear, I had them translate, which was amazing. And walked around with a notebook and a pencil and was just like, write down what you want. And I made good tips that night. But the best one, there was this guy who was slowly losing his eyesight, which like, I felt really bad for, because he was also losing his hearing. And, I was, treated him like I would treat anyone else. And, I go over to him, as I'm starting to wrap up, and I'm like, is there anything else I can get you? And he goes, no, but can I give you a hug? Like, what? Because when you're a young woman who works in a bar, and a guy offers you a hug, you're kind of going, what the hell? And he goes, no, I don't mean that in a creepy way. I've worked in the bar industry for 20 years, and you are doing a great job. And I just want it to be like a, hey, good job kind of hug. And I'm like, oh, yeah, okay. So he gives me a hug, and he goes, yeah, can I just get my tab whenever you're ready? I'm like, yep, not a problem. Go over, print off his tab. He hands me his card, bring it through. Fine, dandy, whatever. Give him all that stuff. Go check on a few more people. Come back to grab the slip and hands it to me. He goes, great job again. And I was like, oh, thank you so much. And so I go to enter in the tip, and his total was $68.66. And I look at the tip, and I look at the total, and it says $108.66. I'm like, what the hell? He had left a $40 tip. And so I'm immediately, there was this part of me that was like, yeah, $40 tip, sweet. And then the bigger part of my brain went, this dude's losing his eyesight. I gotta check this, make sure it's right. So I walk over to him, and I was like, excuse me, sir, I noticed something with your tip. That's a $40 tip. And without missing a beat, the guy goes, is that not enough? Like, oh, I went, no, I wanted to make sure this was correct. And he goes, yeah, you did a really good job. So I'm like, oh, thank you. And I gave him a hug at that point, because it's like, that was so sweet of him. And then the last story I want to talk about, again, same bar that I worked at, I ended up getting quite a few regulars, that I'd see and be like, oh, hey, what's going on? How you doing? And I had this one family that always came in that always tipped pretty well and were just very nice. And very sarcastic, too, so I got to mess with them a lot. And that night they decided they wanted to do pull tabs. So I'm like, alright, they go over and get pull tabs, and they're pulling them, and I looked at them and jokingly said, you guys win big, you're giving me half, right? And they laughed and went, we'll give you a third. Like, oh, okay. Just messing with them, because you're not gonna actually expect that. So, they eat, and they keep playing pull tabs, and they won, like, $6 off of one. And so I give them their tab, and it was, like, $57, and they gave me, like, a $9 tip, which, not the best, but not the worst. It was a tip. I'm not gonna complain about it. And so, I'm like, man, you guys only won $6. Like, what's that $2 gonna do for me? Just messing with them. And then the wife hands her husband a pull tab, and they had won $150. And he goes, yes, he was so excited about it. And, I'm like, oh, that's awesome, congratulations. And so he goes and cashes it out, and he comes up, and he hands me $50. I went, dude, no, I can't take this. I was just messing with you. He goes, I wasn't. I'm just going, oh. Like, I don't know, something about, like, customer service. I mean, yeah, I've had asshole customers. I worked one place, you can probably tell where it's gonna be by what I'm about to say, that had 3 different types of Mountain Dew. And these teenagers were just so disrespectful one day. They said, we want a Mountain Dew for a drink. I'm like, okay, so I get them regular Mountain Dew. And, they go, no, we want the other Mountain Dew. So I'm like, oh, well, this flavor's the most popular. So I give them the second kind. And then they looked at me and went, are you stupid? We want the other Mountain Dew. And at that point, my store manager heard that, and he goes, go. I'm like, thank you, because I would have chuffed it at him, like straight up. I mean, it's the thing about working customer service. Yes, there are asshole customers, but you can look at it and you can kind of be like, well, I can either like throw a drink at these people and get fired, obviously, or I can just look at it and go, all right, no sweat off my back. And that's really the one that I remember from pretty much all my years of customer service. Like, honestly, working in radio, I dealt with a lot more jackasses than I did working any retail. Because a lot... And it wasn't even, like, it wasn't customers, it was my coworkers. They were just dicks. And, I mean, there were some that were wonderful, but there were some that were just terrible. And there were some that I had to yell at. There was a sports guy that one of the commercials I had to play wasn't playing. And so I skipped to the next one, and he started to get mad, and I went, this isn't playing, somebody didn't upload this right, I need to look at this correctly. Or, I need the correct number for this. And he goes, oh, okay. It's like, no, you don't do that. And then that same sports guy was also our news guy. And I did a video almost a year ago now. That's really sad. My friend Mole had committed suicide, and I got this tattoo for him. That's kind of the best way to show that. But his funeral announcement was at the station, and so I was talking to our news guy / sports guy about Mole, and he goes, no, his nickname was Moose. Like, no. His nickname was Mole. No, it was Moose. And we bickered about that for a good 30 seconds, and I finally looked at him and went, he was my friend for 15 years. Like, yes, I know his nickname was Mole. And at that point, he kind of went, oh, yeah, you're probably right, it was Mole. Like, nah. Anyway, because I could go into a whole, like, other 18-minute video about this, and my phone might stop recording. So, I'm gonna go, before my phone does do that. Tell me what you want me to talk about next week. Like, I'm kind of open to whatever. I'll do an update on, like, life itself. But, yeah, let me know what you guys want to talk about, because I want to make it interactive. So, yeah, stay warm. It's starting to warm up, thankfully, but stay warm, stay safe, and I will see you very soon.